Hello, hello. Let me do just a quick sound check to see if I can be heard. I heard a little bit of myself. All right, I think we're good. Good evening, what? When did we have 10 viewers? No problem. That's good. How is everyone doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. Loud and clear. Awesome sauce. When did we get 10 viewers? This is fun. This is exciting. One sec. Here we go. Yeah. Nimbus on screen. I am trying a new setup today that involves having both of my monitors up and my laptop so I can see chat easier. Because my second monitor is pretty small and everything ends up so squished. So we'll see how this works out. It's been working great for like 6 minutes now. So, yay. What's my phone vibrating for? Give it another minute or two for me to sip a bit more tea and get ready. Got some chai and honey to warm me up. I hope everyone's doing okay tonight. I've had a very busy day, so need to scoot a few things around on my desk. I never want to post my desk setup for this. You woke up early for this? Why, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for waking up early. But if you want to catch up on some Z's, the VOD will always be there. I never want to put my VODs away unless something ends up getting copyright hit like the like the Cinema Sins stream. That got hit with 3 separate copyright strikes from 3 different people, and it was wild. But thank you for waking up early to join me. I still can't believe there's 10 people here. I feel... Is my computer saying 10 people? I feel a little excited, a little nervous. I'm not used to this many people. Just chilling right now, Star? Yeah. It's a good day. It's a good night to chill. We gonna be a little chill on this stream. Well, you guys can chill. I'll lose my mind a bit, I'm sure. Alright, so without further ado, we should just get started with the stream. And I want to just start with a quick little outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, we are going to be discussing the second stories / Hilary Layne's video that came out recently. I don't actually know what this is called. Give me one sec. But we're not going to be discussing the actual video. Excuse the dogs barking in the background. Hi, Tyler Ferguson. Welcome, welcome. But we're not going to be talking about the actual video itself or reacting to that video because that's an hour and 7 minutes long, and I do not have the time for that right now. But something interesting I pointed out in my video response to her, I guess, is that her video about the modern degeneracy, or the degeneracy of modern writing, it doesn't have any sources linked in her description. That has thus been changing so far, interestingly enough, because she wrote an article on her website for her sources, which I do have to admire the bravery of that, because I just link my sources if I use them. I don't think I've used many sources because my channel has been thus far reliant on a lot of analytical stuff. Yeah, it is quite a way to link sources. I have to admire it a bit, like just the bravery of being like, yeah, I wrote this article, I'm going to link as my own source. But I will give her credit. She does hyperlink things through her article. So we're going to go over her article today. So I read the whole thing already, and I already have points to break down, but we're going to go through it again together. I'm going to read some of it aloud, and we're just going to discuss it because it's wild. It is a very interesting little article that she wrote, which gives me very big faith in what the actual content of this video essay is from her. I do want to just do a quick little, I guess, trigger warning. There is going to be more discussion about smut, not safe for work content, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it smut throughout this because it is more... Back up. Because she is entirely or mostly focused on the written word, I'm just going to use the term smut because that's what it's usually called. And there's also going to be some darker topics, probably closer to the end of the stream, about how do I say this? Because it's still... it's been 11 minutes in, but I still want to be a little safe for the YouTube censors. It's just... You are mentally prepared? Yeah, good to be mentally prepared. Yeah, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun as I try and figure out a nice way to... well, I'll just read the section title aloud. At the very end, spoilers, the last section will be on the matter regarding female perpetrators of inappropriate crimes against minors, which is it's very interesting to have at the end of an article related to fan fiction. I will give them that. I will give her that. So those are, I think, the two trigger warnings I want to get out of the way. Let's see if I can do this. Did I do it right? Is it still set up right? Let's see. There we go. So I did, this is technically a PDF download I did of the video, or not the video, the article she wrote herself. Give me one sec. I have already gone through and put some notes on it, as you can see. You can see my mouse very tiny there. So we'll go over this. I made some highlights, but if you guys see anything, if you guys want to talk more about anything, message it. I've got chat open. I'll be keeping an eye out because this is 32 pages of very interesting work about fan fiction. So I will go off with a disclaimer right now. This article and list of sources is meant to act as a companion piece to her YouTube video, so I am sure there will be things I am missing. I didn't have the time to watch the whole hour-long video, so I don't know what to say. It's probably a little weird to be looking at this article separate from the video, but I think this is a very interesting piece of writing from Layne. I think it's very interesting that she decided to write a companion article for a video essay to go through her sources that she posted on her website. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I just think it's a very interesting thing to do. Let's see. I'm gonna get I'm looking for floaty. Yeah, we'll go with this song for a bit. An hour-long video with a companion piece is indeed rare. It is. And I did watch like the first 10-15 minutes of the video, and I mean, first of all, I was watching it on my lunch break at work, and I decided I would rather enjoy my lunch than suffer with that. But it just... She's fascinating to me in a way that it's very hard to explain, because I think she is a pretty decent writer. She just does not understand writing. I don't know if that makes any sense. She has the skill to back it up, but like any kind of analytical skill that is naturally built up alongside writing, I feel like she tends to lack, or it tends to lean a bit oddish. But the first 10 minutes of that video were something, all right. They were something. I'm just checking to see, because I replied to Anthony on, let's see. Yeah, the first section is just about how self-indulgence is bad for writers, which she tends to take the emotion out of writing, and I don't know how you do that. And what I looked into about her, she is completely self-taught with a conservative background, which explains most of her biases and thought processes. Yes, that makes sense. I knew she was homeschooled. I know she traveled through Europe and specifically Germany through her college years. I think I mentioned that in my previous video, so I guess that kind of tracks. Anyway, I guess we should really get into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing now. But first, I almost completely forgot. I did want to shout out this comment I got, or reply I got on Blue Sky from Hilary Layne. Why is Timu Lindsay Ellis looking so angry all the time? And I just think calling her Timu Lindsay Ellis, first of all, is a little bit of an insult to Lindsay Ellis, but is also low-key kind of funny. Anyway. Yeah. So, as I said before, this article is meant to be a companion piece to her YouTube video. We're just going to look at it. We're going to see if it can stand up on its own. Because if it's a companion piece, I think it should be able to stand on its own. She looks perpetually disappointed in her video rather than angry. I know, I don't feel like I've ever seen her smile. I've seen like 2 or 3 of her videos, and I don't think I've seen her like genuinely smile past a smug smirk at like people struggling with stuff, you know? It's very strange. So she starts this article saying, I suspect many who watch my video and read through this list of resources might arrive at the end with the impression that I want to ban or censor AO3 and other fanfiction sites. This is not true. I have not said this, and I will not say this because I don't hold that opinion in any way. And just like she says in her video about the absolute degeneracy of modern writing, just like she says in that video, at the very start, like, I don't remember her exact phrasing, but it was something like, you know, this is not my opinion, it's all a bunch of facts. Don't believe this. Oh, wow. Well, hi, Aunt. We just started. I didn't realize you would be in chat too, but you did retweet or whatever it's called on Blue Sky. This is just reacting to the article, and we just got to the first... It's the very beginning, so nothing too impressive so far. It's just her disclaiming. Still cooking. Yeah. All right. No pressure on me whatsoever. Got it. So, just like she said at the start of her video about... this is like her companion piece to the Modern Writer's Bad video. She's going to take some not unreasonable base assumptions and completely distort them with bad interpretations. Yeah, I read the whole article before this stream. I just finished reading it like maybe an hour ago before I had dinner, and it was bad. It was very bad. All 32 pages of it were just that. So, continuing on, she goes on to state that she believes that human beings are obligated to maintain the health of their own minds themselves, and saying it is every person's responsibility to guard his or her own mental and moral health. Moral health is an interesting way to go about it, I feel. My aim with this video and this list is to do just that. Warn adults. What those adults do with that warning is up to them. I'm trying to take this seriously, but it is so hard to forget that she is literally talking about fan fiction here. Fan fiction, you know? Wow, you're up to 23. Okay. There is some talk at the very start here about... Right, I forgot that she compared reading Fourth Wing to doing hard drugs. Right, I forgot who I'm dealing with for a second. She does talk at the very start here about certain things that are available on AO3. Again, I just still new to streaming, so I don't know when I can start talking about serious topics like this. So I guess we'll see what YouTube does to me after the stream. But yeah, Fourth Wing is not that extreme. My friend read it, and you know, she sent me screenshots of what she was reading, and it's weird, but not that bad. Again, there will be discussions about some of this, what she described as obscene work, which is very weird. Not weird. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. She's going after AO3 for a lot of things that people tend to go after AO3 for without knowing what is actually on the website. Because I've written fan fiction since I was 12 years old, so I guess it is fair to note that I am going in with a little bit of a bias here. But also, it's so weird. It's so weird. So she goes on to talking about like how she was in her 20s, which as someone in their 20s was very weird to see that she's older than me because she looks young. She describes herself as one of those sensitive, aesthetically minded young women who was drawn to the indulgent escapism of literature and storytelling across mediums, which... What? I don't know if it's going to show up in chat, but I do see a comment saying the epidemic of Fourth Wing drug lords. That is hilarious. Describing yourself as one of those sensitive, aesthetically minded young women who was drawn to the indulgent escapism of literature and storytelling across mediums is weird, right? Like, that's weird. I don't know why that's weird. I will say, I try to be as academic as possible, but sometimes things go over my head. Yeah, no one normal talks like that. Yeah, she's very verbose in her talking and writing, I am learning. Can someone take her thesaurus away, please? So she talks about how she loved books, loved finding places online where similar-minded people tended to gather, and then goes on to say, literary communities such as those on Tumblr.com gradually then suddenly slipped into smut and shipping and then became entirely pornographic. Tumblr.com. Who refers to a website with a .com? Like, I'm sorry if that's nitpicky, but that's just silly. Did she use a speech to text for this? Oh, no, I think she wrote this. I think she wrote all of this. And she talks about how fan fiction was like this big thing. Sensitive women drawn to indulgent escapism of literature. Close enough. Welcome back, 18th, 19th century moral panic about novels. God, That's truly what this is. She's trying to invest in the moral panic against fan fiction, and it's wild. But the language with these communities interacted with any and all media was that of fan fiction. A new story emerged in the world and was immediately run through the fan fiction engine, and only in that form was it ingested. In time, I saw this spread elsewhere. So something important we gotta acknowledge with this, dare I call it an article, is that nowhere in the article is there any discussion about Spurk, Spock Kirk. Granted, I'm not going to say a lot about that because I'm not a Star Trek fan. I'm not a Trekkie. But I do know enough about basic fan fiction history to know, fan fiction goes back further than Tumblr. I would say fan fiction goes back a little further than Spurk generally, but if we're talking modern fan fiction is definitely older than Tumblr.com. When it comes to the concept of fanfic being bad, I always think of how Count of Monte Cristo was more or less about fanfic about Alexandre Dumas's father. Yeah. Is it surprising considering you could find the Spurk origin with a quick Google search? I know. It is surprising. Because you just Google history of fanfiction and Spurk will pop up there. The fact that it is not mentioned at all in these 32 pages of writing is wild. Let's see. Star Trek fanfic was the start of modern fanfic, isn't it? Yeah, I would definitely say it started there. It started with Star Trek. But I also don't know a lot about Star Trek, so I'm not going to comment on it. I know some pure fan fictions, The Mandalorian and Ghostbusters Afterlife, do remakes and sequels count as fan fiction? I guess that is the endless question. The Homeric titles are fanfic. There was no Homer, just fanboys. True. So, a chunk of this article, you will come to find, is also about representation. A lot of this was clearly in an effort by the audiences to see themselves mirrored in the work. Characters had to be made gay or queer or trans in order for the gay, queer, or trans community to identify with them. Characters were also often race or gender swapped for the same reason. Resistance to this was often met with the predictable cries of blank phobia. So many dog whistles. I know. Because, the worst thing minorities can do in this world is seek representation through fan fiction. Yeah, and I've dabbled in fan fiction my whole life. I've only stopped really writing it since starting this YouTube channel because I moved from one hobby to the other. Resistance to this, citation needed. Yeah, this is so bizarre. And we're only a few not even the first section in, and it's already really bizarre. She goes on to say, because if the character in its altered fanfiction form now mirrored the creator, and thus was, to some degree, the creator, having a problem with that reimagined character was the exact same as having a problem with the creator or anyone else who identified with the creator. Every single aspect of which, by the way, is fundamentally contrary to literary integrity. I will say, if I stumble over my words, I apologize for that. Yeah. Yeah, I will say, I will admit, I did go and read the first few paragraphs of her own writing. It is very clear she has a lot of inspiration from classic novels, and she takes a bit of inspiration from, I think, what seems to be more Eastern history, like China, Asia, general area. and again, I only read the first few pages or paragraphs, and it's kind of dull. Like, there's no big emotion in her writing. And that really also carries through in her video essays, because she's always just so, if she's not being smug about anything, she's just so, I don't want to say depressed. She's just so neutral and bland. You know, she's like plain chicken without any spices on it. And oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that would do that. I'm learning new things about Firefox today. Characters also had to be made to be in love with other specific characters for reasons having to do with representation or sexual and emotional satisfaction. And representation, you're going to find, is going to be such an odd buzzword from Layne. Like, I say here, she can call it as she wants to. She can say, like, I don't like it when there are gay ships. She's trying to be, like, hiding her opinions behind academic analysis, and she's not as good as she thinks it is, because we're still picking up on, like, slight dog whistles. We're still picking up on her language and tone. Yeah, and her generalizing all fan fiction to be smut is very irritating. Like I showed in my video, I picked a random fandom, I cut out the mature rated fics, and there was, you know, it was a very small percentage. I think it was like 1.7% of Marvel fics or smut or something. I was waiting for this to be the thing. I saw this video and purposely didn't watch it. Yeah. It's... I don't know what else to say. There's so much going on. Once it was clear that no one had any interest in engaging with canon stories for what they were, I left these spaces in these communities, if I could ever really be said to have been in them. As I saw it, I was in a lovely literary neck of the woods, and then I looked up one day and realized my neighborhood had become gentrified by fan fiction. I didn't even highlight that before, but I gotta highlight it now. Gentrified by fan fiction. People didn't do what I wanted, so I left. Exactly. I mean, my experience with fandom and fan fiction, I've always been, I guess, a bit on the outside. I've always been a bit of an outlier, but that's because I had a lot of social anxiety as a younger person. I did not like interacting with people, so I just posted my stuff on AO3 and just responded to comments and kept it as that. I didn't really engage in a lot of fandom events. I just wrote stuff I thought would be good and replied to comments. But she herself is like really ostracizing herself because she doesn't like fandom. And you know, you don't have to like fandom. You don't have to like fan fiction. But writing who knows how many words and doing like an hour-long video about why fan fiction is has destroyed writing and everything else is an interesting choice. Yeah, gentrified by fan fiction is definitely a sentence. And you know, I do think there are problems with fan fiction today. I do think there are problems with fan fiction, and I think there are things we should talk about. Like I mentioned over here, the act of filing off the serial numbers to republish fan fiction as original work. I don't really like that much, especially when the quality is lower, because they just change the names around. I don't mind that people do that, but if they do it, I feel like they should put a little more effort into it than just changing the names. Granted, I have not read like The Love Hypothesis or any other fanfic or any other work that's been a rewritten fanfic and compared them. I haven't done that yet. But from my own like experience reading reviews and talking to friends who like to read, that's the issue we should be talking about when it comes to fanfiction. And yes, the AI problem with fanfiction. Hey Dahlia, welcome in. We are going over the second story / Hilary Layne's great companion article to her newest video, because I have a lot of thoughts. Not much, just pain and suffering. That's what you've missed. Nevertheless, my time there and my constant awareness of those parts of that world that overlapped with my own, the literary world, whatever that means these days, has allowed me to observe certain repeated patterns. And none are more obvious and worrying than the growing power and prevalence of fan fiction in the literary world. Sorry about the dogs again, it's probably just someone walking by, but... Fan fiction. This is all just about fan fiction, a hobby most people just do for fun. I don't know why she has such a problem with people doing things for fun. Yeah, fan fiction is a problem. Fan fiction is the end of the world, don't you know? Let's see. I'll leave it to my video to address these issues and my observations in that regard. But for those of you who want to educate yourself further or go see for yourself the various things I touch on in this video, here's a somewhat disturbing list of resources. Gird your loins and go with God. Yeah, that's true. That's true. She views art through an entirely moral lens of quality. Girly can't handle some smut being in the market. So wild. And then she starts to talk a bit about the history of like why AO3 existed. So she goes on to say the primary internet home of most fanfiction was created almost entirely in response to numerous clumsy efforts by the hosts of sites like LiveJournal and FanFiction.net to cleanse their spaces of material that crossed into taboo or illegal territory. This was done mainly because of external pressure from groups that were trying to curtail the growing prevalence of exploitative material on the internet. I seriously doubt those original host sites cared much about the content users posted on the sites, but the pressure was significant. Oh, God. So I looked it up. She's talking about AO3 here. She's talking about AO3. So I looked it up. Because I wanted to know, hey, why was AO3 founded? AO3 and the Organization for Transformative Works were not founded as a place to host taboo fanfic like Layne here is claiming. It was originally devised as an archive for fanworks. That's why it's called AO3. And because online spaces like FanLib, LiveJournal, and FanFiction.net they were cleaning what they described as mature content so they could sell advertisements. It all comes back to money. They just wanted to sell ads, and like FanLib wanted to monetize fanfiction. People wanted money. People wanted money, and the original writers did not like that. So the main point of AO3 was to create a place, not so much a community, but just like an archive and a record of fan works where they could safely share their works and publish, where they didn't have to worry about people trying to monetize it. And you know, there's also a lot of legal protections AO3 provides too. I'd give her, let's see, what did I miss? People have been doing fan fiction or less since the beginning of storytelling. Pretty much every ancient Roman play was an adaptation of or fan fiction of Greek stories. Yeah. I'd give her leeway because her video did mention she was specifically talking about fan fiction in the modern sense. I doubt she didn't know fan fiction existed long before. I know that. Yeah, I give her like maybe 2 points of leeway there, but she did not mention Spark at all, and that I would consider modern fan fiction. Let's see, Emily. I think she considers herself an expert on literary matters, and since she doesn't like fic or people not engaging with canon, therefore it is an unworthy endeavor. Maybe that's the source of everything. I just think she doesn't like fun. No matter your thoughts on fan fiction, we can all agree that My Immortal is a satirical masterpiece. My Immortal is just a masterpiece in general. Because of this pressure and their ideological indifference, these purges were, as I said, clumsy. Swaths of content were unceremoniously deleted, including sites dedicated to actual survivors of abuse. Then they would quietly allow the forbidden again for a while. Then the pressure would come back again, and they would delete another huge batch. I don't think this is how it happened, but okay. This combined with some difficult to navigate efforts on the part of large media companies to retake control of fanfiction led the community to create their own fan-run space. That became Archive of Our Own, or AO3. This site is run by a non-profit with a board of directors and subsists on donations from users. It has been in existence for over 15 years. Yeah, it's been 15 years. Because the main original impetus, of its creation was censorship, as they called it, because, you know, what else would you call it? This is the guiding principle of AO3's content policy, what they call maximum inclusiveness. Literally nothing. Nothing is disallowed. And that's true. I'll be honest, I'm going to try and say this in a way that probably makes me sound like I'm on both sides, but I don't like some of the stuff on AO3, but I don't look at it, if that makes sense. Like, first of all, the TOS reads, you understand that using the archive may expose you to material that is offensive, triggering, erroneous, explicit, indecent, blasphemous, objectionable, grammatically incorrect, or badly spelled. So when you sign up for it, you know what you're getting into. And a lot of people do have issues with the more offensive things that AO3 allows the users to write and share. And some users want AO3 to even police the way these sensitive topics are shown, including Layne here. She goes on to complain. But the way I see it, I don't think we should censor things. Like, most of this paragraph here and later on in this article, she complains about AO3 a lot. And it's like, censorship is a slippery slope, in my opinion. I don't think those things should be on there. I don't like that those things are on there, but you are able to block those from your view. You are able to not read what you don't want to read. The website is organized in a way that lets you block all that stuff, all the stuff you don't want to see. If something is censored, who are we to trust the people in power who are given the power to censor things to not censor other things, you know? I don't think certain content should be normalized or celebrated, but once websites start deciding which fictional topics are allowed and which aren't, it becomes really easy for that power, in a way, to be used against marginalized people and marginalized stories. You know? Yeah. Would it be funny to see how she reacts to things that are fanfiction that got published, like all those Sherlock Holmes stories? Yeah. And AO3 does have pretty good indicators for what a work contains, which is a good compromise. Exactly, Dahlia. It does its best to tell you before you even get into it what the work contains so you can avoid it. I don't like it. I don't like the content, but I won't defend it. But I feel like once we start trying to control what artists can create, we start to fall down a slippery slope. That's why, why do you think fascists start banning arts and defunding the arts when they get in power? Because they know the power that art has. Again, sorry about the dogs in the background. They're just barking at people walking by. I agree, the power to censor quickly goes out of hand. Yep. You can tell exactly what is in a story, since a lot of tropes have tags and all the featured characters do too. Exactly. You know, it doesn't have an algorithm. You have to search for it yourself, and it's like the most beautiful thing in the world. Jokes aside, I do think how it is organized is really nice, and I think more websites should have those options. All right, so back to this article. So if you go to, for instance, the various fanfiction subreddits and read conversations about taboo topics or disturbing tags, you'll find that the only How did I do that? That was weird. Hold on. If you go to, for instance, the various fanfiction subreddits and read conversations about taboo topics or disturbing tags, you'll find that the only acceptable opinion in the community is that Absolutely nothing can be off limits. To even suggest that a conversation on the topic ought to be had will cause a person to be shunned and condemned. I don't think that happens. I've never seen it happen, but go off, I guess. And then she goes on to link the official website for the Organization for Transformative Works. And then she links, here is a link to AO3, though I do not recommend browsing casually. Okay. And then she... Those dogs are going crazy. I am so sorry if you can hear that. Alright, I'm gonna just go quickly check on them real quick. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. The dogs have been settled. They are just barking at a car outside, as dogs tend to do. And then... Oh, where was I? Right. Here is a link to the Organization for Transformative Works journal, Transformative Works and Cultures, which features academic articles of a sort relevant to topics important to the fanfiction community. And I did not change my screen. That's what I read right here. Of a sort. You know, of a sort. With some article titles. Disordered Eating, Disordered Reading, Winter Girls and the Fanish Practices of Pro-Ana. I Wish My Life Was Like This, Queer Identity Work in BL Fandom. Fan Perspectives of Representation in DC's Legends of Tomorrow on Tumblr and AO3. Self-Identification in Malaysian Cosplay. I don't... What? Huh? And then she says, you get the idea. She's, like, listing these article titles in a way to, like, try to own the people who've written these articles. I think all of these articles sound interesting to read. I don't know about you. But she's, like, listing these articles. I know, what is wrong with these titles? It's just media discussion. Which is what she's, I think, trying to do on her channel, but keeps running into, like, faux conservative grifting ideologies. I don't know. So then she goes on here, which I think is a whole different section. Yes, it is a section. For some reason, when my laptop downloaded this article in simple text, it did not get the section titles. So this section is titled The Self-Indulgence of Fanfiction, and then The Terminal Cancer of Representation and Identity. Give me one sec. Because I need to make sure you guys know I'm not making this up. I'm using the simple text because it looks easier for me. But she does say that. The terminal cancer of representation and identity. Terminal cancer of representation. Pain and suffering and suffering and pain. So the rest of this section here specifically, talks about own voices, which is the idea, not the idea, but a movement where people of certain identities write stories featuring people they are basically relating to. It's like a black person writing a story about a black person, people of color writing people of colors. I know, it's not even a dog whistle at that point. It's like a dog yell or something. But I'm still laughing at the terminal cancer thing. I'm sorry. The terminal cancer of representation and identity. So this section is just complaining about how people like to represent themselves. The idea that only people of certain identities can write stories featuring those types of characters or themes is sometimes called own voice or even identity gatekeeping. There are several conversations on the FanFiction and AO3 subreddits that illuminate the community attitude towards this issue. And while many seem to think that broad spectrum identity gatekeeping is bad, they do not ever recognize the fundamental issue. That is, at their core, the fanfiction community still believes that representation and identification is of paramount importance, and so even when they caution against too much identity gatekeeping, they still advocate for the spirit of the issue. The representation has spread to my bones. God. And then she cites a subreddit, which she is trying to make herself sound like an academic. She's trying to make herself sound like an academic. She's got this. She knows exactly where her thesaurus is. She's writing this all as an article, and then she cites a subreddit, a Reddit page. I think subreddit is good. Subreddits are good for conversations and opinions, but I would not cite it like this. Maybe this is just like a personal thing, but I would not cite a subreddit conversation if you're trying to make like a serious academic argument like this. Yeah, it is wild. It is wild. And then I highlighted some of this, but yeah, absolutely never source subreddit in academic stuff. It is way worse than Wikipedia in terms of quality control. Exactly. Like, citing it, I think, in an article or like a YouTube video about media and looking for opinions is like the only way I could see you citing a Reddit. Like, how do her fans not hear this? Well, the Noam Chomsky, which, great username by the way, I think they are on her side. I think, I just think they're like centrists or right-leaning and are totally on her side. I mean, let me see if I can still find it. I was looking through her comments earlier today, and there was a comment saying like, oh, we shouldn't let the literacy rate get so big. And I'm like, excuse me? If I can find that, I'll post it somewhere. Yeah, if you read her comments, most of them are the same opinion as her. I've heard that some people are saying she's deleting comments that disagree with her. I don't think that's the case, but she definitely does like and heart the comments that are agreeing with her. I'll see if I can find the one post later saying that maybe we shouldn't have let literacy get this far. But this is just a bunch of this. How do I say this? I don't agree with her in a way that like, oh, representation and own voice stuff is bad because only people of certain identities can write that, and that's ridiculous. I think people should be able to write about different experiences than themselves. Like, I am a white person. If I make a character that is from Mexico, that I think that's fine. If I am writing a character, if I'm writing about a character who is from Mexico based on their own experience of living in Mexico, and I just make a bunch of stuff up, I don't think that's okay. I think, you want to have diverse characters in your stories, but you don't want to make the diversity the center of their story if you're not part of that group. That's my own opinion. We can agree to disagree. Yeah, we should have kept literacy pure and only allowed elite monks to be able to write. Oh boy. And then she cites Reddit again. In this fan fiction subreddit conversation, a writer spoke about getting hate mail and death threats for making a canonically gay character straight. This post was mass reported, then locked, but it did receive a few illuminating surprises. And again, using Reddit as a source is weird. You have to be specific about it. And then, using Reddit as a source aside, the comment she cites is like probably the nicest thing that someone could have said. Yeah, Lord Pyramon. Representation is good as long as you're not engaging in stereotype. Exactly. But this comment here is just talking about like why it's a problem to make a gay character straight when they're canonically gay. And they cite the so if a writer, and straight writers do this too, I'm one of them, take a canonically straight, and again, if they're not stated as not straight, they're considered straight, and put them in a same-sex relationship. There are literally handfuls of other canonically straight characters still in the work of fiction. It's not a big deal. However, if someone turns the most likely single queer character of the work straight, it's a huge deal because there isn't anyone else like them. People should put marginalized characters in their stories, but if they are not in those groups, they should not be writing about their oppression. That is exactly what I was trying to say, Dahlia. Exactly. Right on the money. I've never heard of the term COC before. Oh, stop. What is going on? But I've never heard of the term COC before this article I read. It stands for character of color. I've never heard of it, but it's probably a thing. And this comment here, again, I will admit this is a companion article to a video essay she made. So, it's not going to be written like an article should, but she's using these giant blocks of text from different Reddit comments, but not really. It doesn't feel like she's applying any commentary with them. It's probably something she does in the video and I'm probably missing it. But if this is meant to be a complimentary source, in my opinion, it should be able to stand on its own too. And it's a lot of copying and pasting comments. Someone goes on to cite the parable of the rich man and the sheep. So that's pretty cool. Continuing on, she cites, I think, is this another Reddit thing? Probably. Let me see before I try to open it. Yeah, this is another Reddit source, so fun. Yeah, so this interesting conversation on a similar topic from 3 years ago highlights a worrying trend. According to several replies, the number of these occurrences of identity outrage had already been going up. And then, for some reason, there's this AO3 post contains the quote-unquote rules, yes, rules for quote-unquote cis people who want to write trans characters. And this isn't rules, this is just a guide to help people do it, to make it accurate. Alright, you played this all at 2.5 speed to catch up. Welcome back. Cardboard Tube Knight. Yeah, she sure does cite Reddit as a source. Yeah, I think she did use it a bit in the modern writing video too. Representation is at the forefront of almost any semi-serious discussion about fan fiction, whether that's identity representation as in gender, sexuality, or race, or fetish representation as in various kinks represented properly. And isn't that weird? Like, isn't that weird to put gender, sexuality, and race next to representation next to fetish representation? That's weird, right? I'm not imagining things. I think, double check. Again, sorry about the dogs. They are just barking at cars that are driving by, and I can't really do much about them without going up every 10 minutes to stop them. This next... Yeah, that is weird. I'm good. Okay, good. I'm not the only one. Will I be covering her more? I don't want to make my channel just like a place where I talk about other content creators like this. If she says something I disagree with about something I know a lot about, I might do just like another stream, make it more casual than the video. I don't want to talk about her that often. But, you know, if she says something I really disagree with and know a lot about, I will probably cover her again a bit in just a live stream. This next section here is just a list of articles about different authors who were attacked or canceled for doing representation wrong. It's because they think of us as taboo as well. Yeah, you're right. So I looked into some of these articles. She said here, Sparrow and Vine by Sophie Lark was pulled when it was criticized for characters saying lines of dialogue that were potentially racist or even, gasp, expressing admiration for Elon Musk's business success. You don't make videos like this, but she's tempting me to with this nonsense. Hey, you know, if you want to talk about her, go ahead. I think it's very fair to do that. But back to this Sophie Lark person. Lark was called out for writing a black female character getting into her relationship with a white guy where she referred to him as a master and her as a slave. That's what she got canceled for. Not because characters were saying lines of dialogue that were potentially racist and expressing admiration for Elon Musk. So, I looked into this second one a bit, the Kosoko Jackson's A Place for Wolves. It just seems like he had... Yeah, I know. It just seems like... This one didn't have much to it. It just seemed... What? How do I keep doing that? It was pulled because... he had some unfair representation of Muslim characters specifically and a more inaccurate representation of the Kosovo War, so it was pulled. Pretty sure the puppies are just reacting to the article. It is hypersonic after all. You know what? They probably are. They're probably suffering alongside me. And then Emily Wen Zhao's Blood Heir was famously pulled because she wasn't apparently allowed to talk about slavery as if she wasn't of African slave descent. Zhao herself pulled her book, buckling to online pressure. And this is a little bit of a nitpick, but if you go to her website and look at this article specifically, I still have it open. Ooh, go away. Scroll. So you can hover over this and you can see, like, that's different. And that's different. Like, you can see there's formatted 2 links there. But when you click on both of them, it is actually just 2 links to the same article, which, that's a little weird, right? Yeah. So, she pulled her book, Buckling to Online Pressure. I think Zhao said that she would be writing it. Haha, that's not why she had criticism. I don't know which one you're referring to. Michael Granfield, feel free to explain. And then Kira Drake's The Continent was immediately condemned all over the internet after having advanced copies out. Why? For featuring stereotype indigenous characters, 2 question marks in parentheses, and other kinds of perceived sins against representation. I mean... you shouldn't write characters as stereotypes. I think that's like a basic thing to say. Blood Heir. It wasn't the author's ethnic background that was the problem. Okay. I didn't actually find any good sources for what was going on with Blood Heir. Just so I'm caught up, what is this person's political ideology? Good question. I don't know. I really don't know, Dahlia. She's gone on record to say in the comments of her video about romantasy that she is not a feminist, so we at least know that. Yeah, she is just showing her whole hand here. Yeah, I think she's a conservative. I she leans like griftery in a way that it's like, if they were like a specific species, she'd be like a cousin to the grifters taxonomically. But yeah, definitely conservative at the very least. And then Laura Moriarty refused to cave when the internet decided her book American Heart was unacceptable for XYZ reasons. This article details the online bullying other reviewers received to change their positive reviews in light of the controversy. She quotes as if it's a horrible word. And 90%, I'm like, I'll have to go back and double check and probably correct myself later, but I'm like 90% sure all of these books that Layne cites here are YA books, which is just a weird thing to do. Like, couldn't you have found some new adult and fiction books, you know? Just very strange. She cites an article about cancel culture and the book industry in general, which I think this one's safe to open. Let's hope it is. Yeah. You know it's going to be a good article off the start when it shows J.K. Rowling, Jordan Peterson being censored. So, you know, the article that defends J.K. Rowling and Jordan Peterson. I think that just says enough about her political ideology. There's a 15-year-old article about The Help linked here too, which was maligned in the day because Stockett was a white woman writing the voices of black women. And I don't know if this is just something I learned in high school or if it's like something that is commonly taught. When you're looking for sources, it is always important to find things that are relevant. I'm like pretty sure there used to be an old acronym for this to help you find good sources for your academic writing, and one of them was TIME. It might have actually been something I learned in my journalism class, now that I think of it more. But one of the important things when you're looking to cite information from articles is when was it published? Linking a 15-year-old article about The Help is weird. It's a weird thing to do. You need to, look for things that are more modern. Like, I would say if it's anything within like the last 10 years, it would be okay, because culture changes on a dime, especially when you're talking about media. You want to find as recent and up-to-date sources as possible. This person is whack, as the kids say. Agreed. And this was an interview with Lionel Shriver, author of We Need to Talk About Kevin. Shriver, I don't know how you say it, I didn't look into it, had made a bold and aggressive stance against the absurd insistence on identity politics in literature, which caused an enormous uproar. Whoa. And then she goes on to quote him, "The whole notion of re-fencing ourselves into little groups, first off, encourages pigeonholing. It means we don't read books about people who are different. We just read books about people who are just like us. And we don't experience the empathy that you're recommending to me. And we all the more think of each other in terms of a membership of a collective. And I don't think that's the interest of any minority group. Why would they want that? And why do they want us to keep our hands off their culture and therefore ignore them?" That's weird to say. "The exchange of cultural practices and ideas, even costume, is fruitful." I don't know how I missed some of this. "It's in the full interest of those groups for us to be able to exchange our experience." So, yeah, no one is saying that you can't read books by people who are different. So true, Cardboard Tube Knight. No one is saying that. And that, I don't even know how I missed this section right here. Interesting, Yasmin Abdel Majid, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, walked out of Shriver's speech on the topic and was so triggered that she penned an essay which she later removed. However, you can still view the Wayback Machine here. Probably the most telling display of what I'm talking about. And then she quotes them like, "The kind of disrespect for others infused in Lionel Shriver's keynote is the reason our first peoples are still fighting for recognition, and it's the reason we continue to stomach offshore immigration prisons." Like, first of all, using the word triggered, right-wing bias is leaking through there a bit. And then second of all, I skimmed this blog post here. This post that she links from Yasmin is just about how she found Shriver's speech very racist and insensitive. And then she... Oops, not again. And then stating that a speech criticizing the concept of literary cultural appropriation facilitates genocide. To quote Bart Simpson, what an odd thing to say. It is indeed. It is indeed. I know, I'm so glad people are like understanding this weirdness too. I'm so glad I'm not like alone in this. The more cultural power fanfiction writers and their communities gain, the more widespread and prevalent these attitudes and policies will become, because God forbid people want representation. It's so weird. So weird. Okay. So she goes on to link an article about the phenomenon of shipping. And is this person unwell or propagandist? I will neither confirm nor deny either one. I think she genuinely feels this way. Yeah, she genuinely feels this way about fanfiction, and it is so interesting because it's such a silly thing to feel about, like, fanfiction and representation. What are you talking about, Nimbus? This is all actually very cool and normal. Oh yeah, you're so true, Dahlia, so true. She goes on to link an article about the phenomenon of shipping. In particular, it touches on what happens when shipping becomes linked to identity, then also to ideology. Tellingly, this article, while unbiased towards shipping, is deeply critical of the power imbalance between writers and fans. I am personally not a big fan of shipping in fandoms. I rarely write romantic pairings. I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want, and it shouldn't tie into their identities. That's my opinion. Part of me thinks she was like a shipper and got into a scrap with some people that walked her down. Yeah, this is very bitter. I feel like if she was more participatory in fan culture, I feel like someone hurt her. Who hurt you, Layne? Who hurt you? Okay. Yeah, of course. There are shipping communities out there that are kind of rough. I stay away from them because they terrify me. But, you know, people, you know, fanfic at the end of the day is just a hobby. We shouldn't take it too seriously. Shipping is dope. That's part of why I watch Days of Our Lives. I love that for you so much. Alright, I'm getting sick of this song. I'm gonna find a different one. Lobby time. Yeah, that one's good. Alright. Back to the article. This is also the fruits of fanfiction. Hold on, wait, where did I leave off? Tellingly, it criticizes the writers of Supernatural for regarding fan desires, while fans, meanwhile, were creating an entire parallel narrative that was reliant on, but separate from canon. This is also the fruits of fanfiction. Fans whose identities aren't served, even just in the ships they believe to be canon, perceive that which they are being harmed in some way and by the original storytellers. Which is to say, only the fans, and fanfiction writers in particular, have any right to make interpretations about stories. Disrespecting these interpretations is now deemed wrong, specifically because of the growing influence of fanfiction. If you could see me right now, my face is just buried in my hands. So, to touch on the Supernatural thing a bit, I was not in the Supernatural fandom because you can never catch me catching 15 seasons of a show. I do not have the time or attention span for that, if we're going to be honest. But both the writers and the actors teased the main ship they're probably talking about, Destiel. They teased it, you know. They had moments, they wrote moments, and maybe they didn't intend them to be read as they were by fans, but they were read that way by fans, and then they ended it the way they did on Destiel Putin Election Day. They ended it with, you know, Cass confessing his love to Dean and then getting sent straight to Super Hell. They did that to the fans. I think fans were at least psychically damaged by that. Unfortunately, your PNG tuber does not have a head and hands pose. No, it doesn't. Maybe I'll go back to my artist and ask them to do one day. Because apparently it's necessary. I would need to study her under a microscope. What a fascinating string of words, each more bewildering than the last. Emily, agreed. That is what I am doing right now. I have to hand it to her. It takes a lot of restraint to write about this and not mention Sherlock and Watson. Oh god. What was that even called again? I can't believe I'm blanking on the ship between Sherlock and Watson. John Locke, right. Wait, what? Yeah, Tyler, yeah. She's taking it so seriously. She's taking fanfiction so seriously. And you know what? Some fans do take their fandoms very seriously. And I respect that for them. But I stay a little far away because they can be very scary. But what? Food is sex. Yeah. This is definitely also generalizing a subgroup of fanfiction into the entirety of it. Exactly. And then she links a tiny article here in which the author talks about the earlier drafts of Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian with information about how to view early drafts yourself if you get a chance. I actually didn't check that one out. I just want to... I hit the wrong link. No one saw that. Okay. I'll have to check that out later. I used to write Sherlock fanfiction and got hate for writing another couple. Yeah. Fanfic writers are, like, a little terrifying to me. This one of the reasons why I didn't like to participate in fandom that much. People were very passionate, and I respect the passion, but also people need to take a chill pill and relax and have fun. Anyway. That's an article I missed reading. And then the next section here is about Wump, which is such an interesting thing, I think, for Layne to discuss. Wump, of all things. So, if you don't know what Wump is, and I feel like Layne doesn't really explain it very well, Wump is, and you can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, it's a type of fanfic writing that focuses on one character being harmed in some way, and it's like detailed almost. Wump. W-H-U-M-P. I'm trying to find a more concise definition of it. Okay, Google AI, I don't like you. It's a form of hurt comfort fic that it, you know, explores like a character being harmed and then comforted, that is very heavy on like the hurt part. It's not my cup of tea. I like hurt comfort occasionally, but you know, it's not my cup of tea. But she spends like a whole section on it, which is very weird in my opinion. So She calls it that odd Tumblr phenomenon, which I am sure it has been around before Tumblr. I discovered this in a really strange way. I had been watching the rather excellent British-American series Strike Back with my husband for some time. And she goes on to say, I highly recommend everything from season 2, blah, blah, blah. At the time, there was a fascinating mini arc in one season in which one of the main characters got hit with a nearly lethal dose of some kind of nerve agent, but chose to complete the mission instead of getting treatment, sacrificing his life potentially to save millions. I attempted to, quote-unquote, engage with the community, as one does, about this narrative theme, and found my posts rather popular with the Wump crowd, to which I replied, what is Wump? Thus, my eyes were opened, and I spent the next several months trying to puzzle out this phenomenon. And then she includes a screenshot of Strike Back and then says, guess what the popular ship is? With 2 main characters. Yeah. I did notice, rather crucially, that the core theme there, the ethical and moral heroism of the character's choice, was of no interest. What mattered was the aesthetics of the thing, the image of the random, strong, handsome man brought low by poison, which I found terribly disappointing. God. I'm starting to lose my mind. This has been almost an hour and a half, and I am starting to lose my mind. I figured I would do it, and we're not even halfway through these pages yet. Now, I am not a Wump scholar, but this is just such a weird bit. It feels so unrelated to everything. God forbid people care about other aspects of the show than what you care about. Exactly. So she links stuff about Wump, the fanlore site that I literally just got the definition from, a collection of Tumblr posts that attempts to define various community important reasons for Wump attraction, which I don't even know if I can access that. Oh, I can. Okay, I can. Tumblr hasn't kicked me out yet. Alright, I'll have to look at that later. Here is a link to the Wumpipedia, the public spreadsheet that features over 15,000 entries across mediums. And then here's a link to a similar but less comprehensive list for Asian media with only about 1,100 entries. Here's a Tumblr directory. It's a bunch of links. It's not anything interesting. It's just a bunch of links about Wump. And then I think, is that? Okay, so here is another section starting around here. Oops, don't look at my Google Drive. That goes into the nature of the community. So you know this is going to be good. Starts about right here. Yeah, I didn't notice that the headings hadn't been covered until later, but my phone keeps vibrating, and it's nothing. So she goes on to a fairly comprehensive write-up about Tiffany, who was a Chinese lady who ran for a position on the Organization of Transformative Works Board of Directors, and who wanted to regulate the controversial material on the site, and how she got accused of being a plant by the Chinese government. And then she links the Hamilton fanfiction incident, which, oh my god, I can't believe she's making me talk Hamilton fanfiction. Can't believe she's talking about the Hamilton fanfiction. That whole thing, I feel, is so unrelated to the community. It feels like ridiculous. You think she'd like Wump, considering the entirety of the passion consists of it. Emily. Yes, Hamilton itself is fanfic. But I think Strange Eons has a video about the HIV high school cannibal mermaid Hamilton fan fiction incident. I won't go on about it because it's reminding me of my own high school musical phase. Not High School Musical, the, you know, actual movie, but my musical phase in high school, and I don't want to go into that right now. It's too bad the Birdman doesn't expose the grift in book 2, but it does leave the lane wide open for you. But yeah, I wouldn't have the fortitude to keep up with all this nonsense. It is nonsense. It is nonsense. It's kind of fascinating nonsense in a way, but I don't know how people have the strength to just call out people like this all the time. Sorry, Hilary, the Bible is wump-packed. Her criticism of Wump feels like she's... Yeah, she's definitely doing that. Then she links an article about the Cassandra Clare plagiarism debacle. Cassandra Clare is the writer of the Mortal Instruments series, which is known as a reworking of her Harry Potter fanfiction. And I think... Let's see. Am I able to get onto that article? Oh, it's fan lore. Yeah. It's basically like she hypothetically, I think, took some lines from a different Harry Potter fic. I am not that into it. I first of all, I don't care about Harry Potter. I was never into it as a kid. I never read it. I tried reading it before J.K. Rowling did her J.K. Rowling thing. Before she J.K. rolled all over the place. And I just didn't like it. I thought it was very juvenile. So I'm not as involved in this as some other fan dramas, but supposedly Cassandra Clare stole some lines from a different fanfic. This write-up is probably more comprehensive than it needs to be, with over 30 citations, but it places the social world of fanfiction in dramatic relief. And then more Harry Potter fandom fun times. The Miss Scribe saga, which, again, I do not have the energy to go into drama in Harry Potter fandoms from like the early 2000s. I just don't. I am old enough to remember the Cassandra Clare drama. When did that happen? 2006. Okay. Season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had a Wump arc, and it was generally really compelling and tied together several aspects of the show, so it can't all be bad. No, I don't think Wump is bad. I think it's a great way to explore how characters react and grow through struggles. I don't write it in the way that usual fan works would go about it, I guess. But I think it is a fascinating way to take a character. So there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, she took some stuff from the Buffy show and used the quotes without attributing them. Right, got it. Okay. But anyway, Harry Potter stuff, I really do not want to get into. I skipped over some of this fan drama, I'll be honest. I skipped over these articles. I don't even know what is this? Okay, it's another fan lore. Oh, he started cults. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Snape wives. Yes. Yes, Michael. Absolutely. Every community has had bad players, but it doesn't mean that community is bad. There's just some rotten eggs in the dozen. Harry Potter more like tries desperately to think of an insult bad. What's her point with regards to this long, intrusive bibliography? To be fair, it is supposed to be in relation to a video essay that is more than an hour long, so I guess she goes over all of this stuff in her video. I haven't seen her video through to the end. I'm only hoping that she does that, because if not, then what was the point of writing this article? Like article bibliography hybrid at this point. To highlight the degeneracy, of course, yeah. The untamed Zhao Zhan Wang Yibo China insanity is detailed in the section below on BL. This subsection is pretty disturbing. I don't recommend digging into this too much unless you want to ruin your day. The point of this section is to highlight for those who don't know just how deep and wide the pit of fanfiction is. I know there are many people out there who have those favorite good fanfiction stories which are not horrifically warped and awful. I'm aware. I still argue that such works these days are fundamentally restrained by the virtue of being fanfiction, but I understand and am aware that some fanfiction isn't as bad as what I've listed here. And then she just straight up links the Dead Dove Do Not Eat tag on AO3. Yeah, unhelpful heap. Yeah, I don't think she doesn't understand that literature has always been like this. I'm not saying bad fic is all bad. It's just a black pit of degeneracy. Yes, the let's see. Okay, so this is in a new section. This is in a new section now. Called the Smutpocalypse, and this section is called The Depths of Fanfiction. Straight up linking the Dead Dove Do Not Eat tag. It's Dead Dove Do Not Eat is basically just what you see in the tags is literal. It's just like the biggest trigger warning, I guess, if you wanted to call it that, you could give. I don't read Dead Dove Do Not Eat because I'm not interested in that, but you know, some people are, and that's fine or whatever. I don't care. And then, right. She goes on to list the bad stuff that is featured on AO3. All the bad tags that she does not agree with. I can't watch her anymore. She has some decent things for writers, but not worth listening to her Catholic hate bleed through. She's so arrogant, she can't see that she's arrogant and thinks she's humble. I know. It's so wild. It's so wild because I'll be honest, I'm Catholic too. And what I learned growing up Catholic is that we are to love one another, treat other people how we want to be treated, help the poor, you know, all this basic stuff. And people just spend their time writing long diatribes about fan fiction. Like, I can't even imagine how long this video essay took to make. Like, it's an hour long. And she wrote essentially what were 2 video essays and just didn't film this second one here. I can't imagine. Like, there had to have been better things she could have been doing to actually, like, help people. And she just spent her time doing this. It's, like, ridiculous. And, you know, she lists all of these numbers, and they're very big numbers, but there are more than 16 million works on AO3. So some of these are just, like, very small fractions. And again, with the censorship, we shouldn't let websites censor because it'll go out of control. Oh, wow. Everyone just started messaging at once. Judge not lest you be judged. Wait, are we now judging her judginess? Yeah, we are judging her a bit. Which I guess is kind of counterproductive, but I think there comes a time where you have to be judgmental about someone in order to help them grow. If that makes sense. You know, being judged, being critiqued and being judged, I think, is different than being... I don't know if that makes sense. This stream has been going on a long time, and I'm only halfway through this. Reminds me of when the Book of Numbers said Moses was the most humble in the land, for no one was more humble than he, and then you remember that was written by Moses. Yeah. Yeah. No shade, but it's a little ironic. Over 1 million lifetime hit in the sibling tag out of what? Millions of visitors every day. The Noam Chomsky. Y'all, this whole chat's gonna kill me tonight. Y'all, how are y'all funnier than me? It's not the paradox of tolerance. We need not tolerate intolerance. Yes. I mean, it's just like a whole list. And then she adds this little note here. Hey, paper. Good luck with work today. I think it's less judging the judginess and more examining hypocrisy, which is something J-Man did on the reg. Yeah, that is what I am trying to do. Have a good time at work, paper. Good luck. I hope it goes by quick and easy. Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy, Tyler. Did I miss? I don't know what I missed. Cardboard 2 Night, if she's not mentioned it yet. I don't know what that is in reference to, but anyway. So she adds this note here saying, I have received many messages since making my jab at fanfiction in my video on romantasy and women's fiction that insist that smut is not the only kind of fanfiction in existence. This isn't at me. I addressed this issue in the current video, the fanfiction video, but to be clear, smut and explicit content is so important to fanfiction writers that its protection is 90% of the reason AO3 was created in the first place. And again, as I said earlier, and I wrote it here, AO3 was created for more than just to protect that kind of stuff. While it is one of the reasons, the censorship wasn't just on explicit works. First, yeah, source. But it was on anything that advertisers would not want to be sold on. And back in the early 2000s, it was anything with minorities in it, essentially. And these sites, fanfiction sites, were trying to monetize fanfic, and writers wanted a place where they knew they would be protected legally to share their stuff. It's... oh... Hilary Layne, you're making me feel so much pain. Hearing Jesus Christ be called J-Man is insane. Agreed. Moses is a fictional character. The Bible is fanfic, nothing original from the font of Babel. Moses was an Egyptian name, total fanfic. It could have been. It's hard to say sometimes. Honestly, if you go to the subreddit for AO3, they will swear it's just for smut and downvote you for not agreeing. There's a commenter, this is just reminding me, there's a commenter in her comments, and just by saying this, I'm probably going to get this person either in my chat or later in my comments here, who is like going to bat defending Layne, and keeps going on about how the AO3 subreddit is malding over this video. And I looked at the AO3 subreddit. There's one post with 30 comments about this video. Hilary Layne, more like Hilary Layne. Good one, Dahlia, good one. And then she makes a point here, saying that, in case you need any more proof that literary awards are no longer worth the paper they're printed on, in 2019, the entirety of the Archive of Our Own was awarded a Hugo, which we can go to the Hugo Awards organization official website, and we can see why they were given an award. And they clarified this in 2019, that it was not, no one can claim being a Hugo Award winner. No one on AO3 can claim that they were a winner of this award for their writing. It was given to the organization, the project. It's recognizing AO3 as a project and a platform. The fiction hosted on the site is not the award recipient, nor are the authors of fiction hosted on the site the award recipients. It's the Hugo Awards says it directly. That they are not giving any specific fanfic an award. They're giving the project an award for the good they're doing. That's it. Yeah, it's a Cardboard 2 Depth. It is like one post, and I had to search for it to see if anyone even said anything about it. Why is this the third time I've had to mention the Omegaverse on my channel? Why does this keep happening to me? can't do the Omegaverse right now. I'm sorry, guys. A website got an award I want, and now I have to make a series of videos. Yes. The Hugo was given for the premise of the site and for the impressive filtering system. Exactly. Yeah, kind of like how we were all Time Persons of the Year in 2006. Oh, I didn't know that. To be fair, I was 6 in 2006, and I was not thinking about the Time magazine. And then, after the depths, we get to this section on BL. Dahlia, I just took like 17 million points of psychic damage from that message. How could you do this to me? Something I want to note about Layne's content, and I think I mentioned it before, is that her novel, since I have the website up, let me just... her novel, The Blueprints, that she's been publishing in chapters on her website. It is like... there is something about it that gives me very Eastern vibes. I don't want to be stereotyping here. Like, right here it is as far as I got. It does give me very Eastern vibes. Like, she based her novel here off, like, historical China, historical Japan. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I just find it really weird how she... in her fan fiction video talks about like Eastern BL for so long. I mean, like, so long. It's just so strange. Is Hilary Layne a weeb? I don't know. I don't know if I could say that. And again, why is this... why BL specifically? This isn't fan fiction anymore. What's going on? I just want to skip around to see. Text. Wow. I am so thoughtful here. So thoughtful and concise with my notes. So this section here is talking about BL and MM ships. A writing influencer who can't write, will the wonders never cease? Who knows? Who knows, Michaels? Who knows? This whole section here is linking... oh, God. Oh, no. What am I doing? I don't know how to use my computer. This whole section is basically summed up by this, linking BL and gay fanfic, essentially. Which is odd, but I can kind of, I guess, see where she's coming from. But, you know, she says, the more taboo and controversial, the more community fights for acceptance under various forms. For instance, several posts, articles, and even academic papers can be found online that attempt to legitimize the occurrence of disturbingly young, girlish boys like Omegaverse and BL as being essential for trans representation. Here's a question. If there are so many posts and articles and academic papers found online, why aren't they linked? She has linked so many things already. She has linked so many things already in this monstrosity of article. It seems like she's just saying things. I don't want to accuse her of just saying things, but if she's linked so much already, why didn't she link that? If she's trying to prove something, why didn't she link it? Does this have a link? Hold on. Maybe I'm just dumb, but there's no source for this either. Interesting. Curious, isn't it? She links every Reddit post and comment that supports her, but somehow leaves out the academic sources. You know, like I said in my video about her, very odd. Maybe I should just start linking my mom's emails telling me I'm a good boy as a source. You should. She goes on to say, it's worth adding that many women online are critical of BL fans for insane fanaticism, degeneracy, or just fetishizing the actors and characters. Japan even has a derogatory name for female BL fans that literally translates to rotten girl or rotten woman, which is fujoshi? I think I said that right, which she doesn't say at all here. Oh, Layne. So she then goes on to talk about the impact of BL and MM shipping on the rest of media. Yes, laugh at my suffering, please. Laugh at my suffering. So she goes on to say, BL and the popularity of gay shipping and fanfiction have led to a cultural environment in which male characters are almost always shipped together, especially if in canon stories they are very close friends or siblings, which occasionally happens, but no. This includes, but is not limited to, Sam and Dean Winchester in Supernatural, Frodo and Sam in The Lord of the Rings, Gimli and Legolas in The Lord of the Rings, Professor Xavier and Magneto in X-Men, which aren't they canon? If you wondered about the odd way in which the Deadpool and Wolverine were being used to market Deadpool 2. No. She's talking Deadpool 3, right? Yeah, she got the movie wrong. First of all, she got the movie wrong. Layne, there's only 3 movies out. How did you get that wrong? The movie is literally called Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not Deadpool 2. Oh my god. Let me look at the chat. Let me catch up on chat. Watching the live a little late, but she mentions the mother-daughter relationship tag has 1,400 titles, 14,000 titles, but the tag is about how a mother and daughter normally interact. No wonder. BL, yaoi, homoerotic manhwa, etc. are adopted terms from Eastern cultures and are approached in different ways from the West, yet she seems to be gazing exclusively through a Western lens. Not a surprise. I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine collab is to feed fanfiction. And yeah, Deadpool hasn't been straight for years, probably since before fanfiction websites. Yeah, Deadpool is canonically pansexual. People just wanted to see the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and Deadpool technically debut in an X-Men movie. Yeah. Yeah, first of all, Deadpool's been pan for years, but also like, sorry, Wikipedia, I'm going to ignore you. Written by Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, Zeb Wells, Sean Levy. Do you think Ryan Reynolds writes fan fiction? Apparently. Layne thinks so. Writers and producers are either themselves from the fanfiction community, or they understand that's where their most hardcore fan base is going to be and know how to feed it. Ryan Reynolds writes fanfic, confirmed. Which, you know what, if he does, good for him. The image of that is kind of funny. Does Ryan Reynolds know what fanfiction means? I think by now most actors probably do, because there are people who, write RPF of them out there. But what? She goes on to talk about Hannibal, which is really interesting because I know she mentioned it in her video essay about villains. Modern villains are impotent and bad, or whatever she calls it. And I think she's just butthurt that people think the Hannibal show is gay. I just think she's butthurt about that because this is like, I think the second time she's mentioned it. And this is like one thing she got called out on by multiple people. Brian Fuller's whole deal is representation. I actually haven't seen Hannibal yet. I think one day I would like to. I just need time to sit down and actually watch a series. But I think she's just butthurt that people are saying this show is gay. I think in a broader sense, Ryan Reynolds does write fan fiction. However, I think fan fiction's defining characteristic is that it's not canon. Yeah, that's fair. This is so prevalent that most straight male characters are now assumed to be canonically gay within fan fiction communities. I need to change the music. Ooh, no, where'd I go? So she talks about Korean dramas and Chinese dramas who are like, hey, these characters are gay, which, what a surprise. And then she links like, does she actually link 10 different? No, she does not actually link 10 different edits, right? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay. Okay, that's an ad. Oh my god. She links fan edits. Big mad about gay people existing. I can see that. I low-key want to know her opinion on gender-bending character to make ships heterosexual. Huh. That's a great question, Casey. That is a great question. I wouldn't be surprised if Reynolds writes fanfiction. He openly stated he wanted to make a Deadpool movie for years. He is a fanboy. And again, that is very fair and valid. I just think the image of Ryan Reynolds writing fanfiction is, like, a little funny. I don't want to play that audio because I know this is going to get me copyright claimed because it's Avril it's girl my 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I am losing my marbles. On AO3, going solely by the tag system, there are roughly 3 million male-female ship stories, a little over 1 million lesbian ship stories, and over 6 million male-male ship stories. If LGBTQ representation was really that important, shouldn't those latter two numbers be a little closer together? And given that the majority of fanfiction writers are female, perhaps the female-female number should actually be much higher. Why are the vast majority of fanfiction works written about gay male ships, she asks, and you know what? I mean, I would say she's making a little bit of a point there. It is a discussion on why MM ships are bigger than FM and FF ships. Why are fans more attracted to two male characters together than compared to two female characters, or dare I say straight characters? That's an interesting topic. That's an interesting thing to discuss. But just leaving it as a little note is such a shame because it could be a very interesting video that's not just shipping sucks, because I think there is some discussion to be made there. Yeah, majority of writers in modern times are female, right? I think so. And yeah, Casey, you're right. There are less well-written female characters with good background and chemistry. I think one of the main factors of why MM ships are so popular are just because we have more male characters than we do female characters. Yeah, I guess you have a fair point there. I guess you do have a fair point there. I think it's because a lot of fan fiction writers are women who are attracted to men. Probably. I'd never write really romantic fanfic, so I am a bit of an outsider here too. But I guess that kind of makes sense. She links an article then about how the K-pop-esque marketing attitude used to spread BL into the West has proven to be wildly successful in just the beginning, which K-pop-esque marketing attitude is a very interesting string of words. I know, wowie, she's stumbled into a genuine issue in fandom and expands not a bit on it in favor of using it as a gotcha. Yeah, she it's like she's throwing stuff at the wall and she finally hit a target, but didn't try to hit it again. People get really mad about you asking why they don't write more women over at the O3 sub. Yeah, that's something we should talk about. It's one of those complicated things with a lot of reasons that need a discussion by anyone besides the fanfic is destroying the universe lady. That's true. Thalia. Again, it's not fair. Why are y'all funnier than me? The way she worded that, it's like BL is invading the West and ruining it. I know, it's very, very strange. And of course it has been successful. The road has already been paved by fanfiction. The Venn diagram of gay shipping fanfiction writers, readers, and BL fans is almost a perfect circle. I can't believe they made X woke and political. It should have stayed the way it was when I was a kid and blissfully unaware of current events. I'm just gonna go over here. Okay, I didn't miss any subheadings. Note on the demographics of BL. The audience and writers are overwhelmingly female. In fact, in the East, the genre is specifically marketed to women, not men. The female readers of BL are typically between 20 to 40 years old. Other sources show that it starts younger. Personal observation, a huge percentage of Tumblr users who post a lot of BL content list their ages 30s, which... What's wrong with just listing their ages 30s? I don't get what kind of gotcha moment she's trying to make here. Honestly, I think people should be less willing to share all their information online. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm Nimbus. I don't use my real legal name. I can let you guys know I'm 25 and that's about it. You're not allowed to be 30 years old anymore. Anyone who is 30 no longer exists. I'm sorry. In the West, a growing percentage of the female readership identifies as queer. I don't like how she uses that word in quotation marks here. 0 out of 10 bad vibes. BL stands for boys love. It's like yaoi stuff, if you know what that is. You know, it's male. It's just another term for MM ships. 25 sounds like a commie age to me. Stop being so funny. You guys aren't allowed to be funny in my chat anymore. Don't you know you're supposed to abandon all your interests once you hit 30? Yeah. Which makes me wonder how old she is. Hilary Layne, who are you? I don't think you have it on your website. Yeah, I don't think she has it on her website. But it would be very funny if she's in her 30s making fun of people in their 30s. She's in her 30s making fun of people in her 30s when she's writing this stuff. You can pry my humor from my cold, dead hands. She's 38? Oh. I will say, and not to like compliment her, but she looks, if she is actually 38, she looks a lot younger than that. So she goes on to link a bunch of different websites that you can find BL in the wild. I don't really know enough about this genre to really comment on any opinions that she has. And I think that some of these themes she can go through can be weird. I don't read BL, but I feel like this is just like an outside observation that most of this is done to just write the MM ships as a straight couple, like have one be more feminine and one be more masculine. You know, it's like basic stuff. She did give the vibe. She did give off the vibe of people should put away childish things in another video. Yeah, I think so. She's a pretty woman and can write decent. I wish she didn't use it for evil. Yeah, I am not, like, I read a bit of her novel that she's posting. It's not my cup of tea. It's very boring from what I read, but some people would like that, you know? Some people like those thick, long, historical fantasy books. Yeah, I don't get why she lists stuff instead of distracting it. I think the reason things are listed and not discussed is because this is meant to be a companion piece to her video essay, which, again, I am of the opinion that if you're going to write an article accompanying a video essay to show your sources, either you put the whole script up and hyperlink the sources you're using, or you write it like an actual article. This like hybrid combo is a bit odd, but yeah, it's meant to be a companion piece to her video. I watched the video and most of it is in this article. Okay. Yeah, I watched the first 10 minutes and haven't had the time to actually sit down and watch an hour-long video, but I'll probably look at it too soon. 38-year-olds often look close to 28-year-olds. It's just that most of our media focuses on people in their late teens and early 20s, so when they're cast in their roles, they look much younger. True, fair. I have like a bit of face blindness when it comes to people too, so it's very hard for me to like accurately read ages and stuff. She wishes she had gone to college and she's making us read her papers, probably. Anyway, I could be wrong about that comment I made about how the odd relationships written in BL is just trying to straight the gay couple, because I don't read BL, but very strange. Very strange. And then she actually mentions the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, which is really interesting because in her modern writing video, she shows it on screen as one of the books she's supposedly read for this video, for that video specifically. And I was a little on the fence on whether or not she read them because she didn't like use them as any like textual sources. She didn't break down any examples of what made her uncomfortable. She just showed the book covers and said, I read some stuff. But maybe she actually did read the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm skipping through some of this BL stuff, but this is not anything I really know about. If you know about BL and this kind of stuff, you're more than welcome to let me know in the chat there. It leans in like that one image of Megamind. Do you read WL? I'm assuming that's Women's Love. I would. I mean, if you have any good ones, I would try it, but I read kind of slowly now. I'm trying to get through Dune. Through the end of the year if you want to know what I'm currently up to. But I wouldn't be against it. I am going to try and get into reading more and absorbing more media next year. So, you know, if you have any recommendations, let me know. You can either comment it on the VOD when the videos end. Real, I can't read. Who can read nowadays? If you have any recommendations for me, you're always more than welcome to just leave them in the comments too. Of like when the VOD when this is done. She adds a few notes here that's like, a lot of discourse on this topic tends to focus on the perceived homophobia, which was at most 1% of what was going on, if that. She's so dismissive of things too. She's so dismissive. Mostly, though, it comes down to money, as it usually does in communist regimes. Gosh. I don't read BL, but when I see yaoi, it usually ends up being what Nimbus said. One man kind of assumes a more traditional feminine role. Yeah, that's what I've seen in my experience. I don't read it myself, but that's usually what I see. Speaking as someone who can remember the yaoi paddle at cons, the issue of BL couples reflecting straight gender roles has been discussed many a time, probably academically too. I'm smart. I can pick up on stuff that I don't know about. Yeah, she talks about how a lot of the content in some of these books features very strange scenes. And if that does happen, yeah, that's kind of gross. And I would agree. I don't think that is something that we should be normalizing that much in like a way that's meant to read it romantically, but it's important for you to not think this is homophobia. I've just spent pages dishing on gay shipping, gay fanfic, gay authors, gay representation of media, etc., etc. So true, Michael. So true. And this is stuff about Thai BL live action production. And at this, she says, I have been told this is a seriously toned down take on the original novel, which I have not read because I have at this point reached my limit. And when I was reading this, that I've since reached my point too, and we still have like, we're up to less than 10 pages left to go. I feel like she's kind of secretly a BL fan, and she hates that fanfiction is ruining all her manly BL. Maybe. Why is this such a big subject in her video about fanfiction? I don't understand it. I really do not understand it. Alright, another music change. This is making me sleepy. Yeah, this one will be okay. Oh, look how cool and edgy that post is. And then she's like specifically notes that the writer of the original novels, a pair that was a straight female and a gay male, collectively known as Daimi, probably admitted to behavior towards one of the support stars of the show who was 16 years old at the time, which shouldn't be happening. But again, why is this related to why is this related to fanfiction? Why is any of this stuff about BL related to fanfiction? This is all just separate stuff. This should be its own separate video. It feels like she just wanted to pad out runtime by talking about all of this. And a lot of that above that I'm just like scrolling past because I don't have the time or energy to go into it. It seems to be more about just fangirls treating their idols weirdly, which, that happens a lot everywhere. I hope that all of this is better connected in her video than it shows up in this bibliography essay, because this is like getting ridiculous at this point. I'm struggling to see how this is related. Everything she says sounds like Helen Lovejoy's "Won't someone please think of the children? Won't someone please think of me?" It's like she is ignoring all the wonderful fan fiction that has nothing to do with romantic relationships. She is, because that goes against the point she's trying to make about how fan fiction is ruining society, how it's destroyed writing and everything else. The ramblings of a closet fujoshi, God. And then there's this like really great section here that's like, I heard a rumor that Heated Rivalry started as Steve Bucky Avengers fanfiction, but I couldn't confirm that, which I highlighted. Can I do that again? I thought was really funny when in her video about this, she starts it off saying that Twilight was originally Harry Potter fanfiction, which it wasn't. There are so many sources online saying, like interviews with Stephanie Meyer saying where the inspiration from Twilight came from. And she even notes in her description, like, I can't find the article I read that explicitly stated that Twilight was originally fan fiction. It might have been, it might not have been. Which, maybe this is just something I would do because I care about the integrity of my channel. I would take the video down if I got something wrong like that. Or I would, like, edit it out, pin a comment. I think she actually did pin a comment. No, she just pinned a comment linking her novel. But I would, like, pin a comment saying, oops, I got something wrong. Feel free to make fun about me in the comments. Nah, she said it, so it's all facts. You're right. She said it. I mean, there have been people who are like, hey, Twilight didn't start as Harry Potter fan fiction. Hair in my mouth. In her comments. And, like, I think I saw her respond to, like, one of them, and my source, I made it up. So true, so true. I just find this comment here funny that she's like, I heard a rumor this thing started as fan fiction, but I couldn't confirm it. When her video also starts with, I heard a rumor that Twilight started as fan fiction, but I couldn't confirm it. So convenient, huh? She goes on to say, the tendrils of fan fiction have begun to spread like kudzu throughout all of popular culture, especially anything having to do with storytelling. This, in turn, is already affecting how the human mind is formed and directed. Myers was trying to link the Twilight books to classic literature like Romeo and Juliet. I can see that. I think the last one was supposed to be linked to Lutheran Heights? I've never heard of that one, unless you were trying to say Wuthering Heights. Everything she says is based on objective truth. I know, because she said so. You're so right, Lord Pyramon. You're so right. Then she goes on to link a few articles. I think... Let's go here. So... I'm so glad we got through the BL section, because that was, like, boring me. So this is now in a new section. Fan fiction impacting the world. Studies on the way fiction affects the mind and behavior. So she links a study here, which I'm not going to be able to read because it's behind a paywall of, like, what was it, $50? Yeah, $56 to read an article. I can't do that. The second study she links here, I think it was available. Yes, it was available, but notably, I don't know if you can see that very well. It was published in 2003, which, as I mentioned before, you gotta be more on top of articles like this because things change so quickly, especially in, like, soft sciences like psychology and sociology. That is the fiction so that second study says that the fiction we consume informs our perception of reality and how we behave in real world environments. And then the third one is a 2024 article from Psychology, which discusses the observed ways in which fiction viewership impacts not just individuals but societies. So I think it's time to come clean. I need to be honest with everyone in chat tonight. I think I have said before that I was a film major, and if I didn't, that's what I always say to people, because it's just easier to say it than what I actually was. The truth is, I was a mass communications major. I studied film almost exclusively, but I had to take a few media theory classes. I know, 12th Night, I'm so sorry for lying to you, but I have to come clean now. Hilary Layne is making me crazy. This article is actually kind of cool, which she does a double link again. It's kind of cool, but she is leaning on what is known as the hypodermic needle theory. No, it can't be. I'm so sorry. I have to come clean. I was a communications major, which might be more scandalous and worse than a film major. This article here supports the idea that media can shape behaviors in a way. And if I sound like I'm getting very smart all of a sudden, it's because I write down notes to read aloud, essentially. It goes through different kinds of media and talks about how it's influenced people. Like, it talks about how the Queen's Gambit influenced people buying chess. It talks about how 13 Reasons Why impacted the studies, impacted young teens who watched the series, and how they had a lot more mental health issues, which was evidently, I don't know if you can read that well, disputed in another study, but so the media can have a small impact on us. I believe that. But what I feel like Layne is trying to get through is that it's the hypodermic needle theory is a theory that basically says the medium is the message and the message is just immediately shot into them. I know. I was a communications major. Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, I understand. And, it's been a couple years since I was in school, so if I get anything wrong, feel free to correct me. She is leaning very heavily on the idea of the hypodermic needle theory, which is not to say I don't disagree that media can impact how we, as humans, shape the world around us. But it's not a direct and straightforward effect like a shot. It's more of a softer thing, like subtle influences, like people watching the Queen's Gambit wanting to get into chess, something subtler. The way she's using it is incorrect, I would go on to argue. Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room full of rats. I know you're probably gone by now, the Noam Chomsky, but have fun writing. Yes, media can and does impact people, but believing that it works like Snow White, the mirror in Snow White, or a needle is kind of silly. You too, Dahlia. Well, have a good night. We're almost to the end, I think. Like all bad science reporting, Hilary doesn't understand that a study can't give you an answer. It's at best a piece of the puzzle. Exactly. So she links another article about binge watching, which I don't like binge watching. I give her a tiny point for agreeing here. Yes, go write fan fiction despite Layne, Dahlia. And she says, this might not translate specifically to the fan fiction reading habits, but it does speak to the overall potential of obsessive or addictive fiction intake to harm not just our daily lives, but also our ability to analyze stories and our ability to share them with friends. Storytelling in the age of binge watching has become very solitary, which I find kind of ironic coming from a YouTube channel with 100k followers, but that's beside the point. And she does actually link a really cool article about the cognitive nature of how we experience stories, so I'm definitely going to swipe that for myself in the future. And then the next section comes around, and it's called the FanFiction Goes Mainstream. The FanFiction boom. Where is it? Oh no, I did not mean to click that. Which is another time where she just lists stuff. An article from 2024 talking about the fanfiction book boom and the cultural acceptance of fanfic. An article that shows how Twilight fanfiction became 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, there is something nice about sharing stories with others. And again, she gets like a tiny little point that I kind of agree with her there. That's nowadays some stories feel very solitary, and writing especially. I mean, in general, from the very beginning, writing is a very solitary thing. You're doing it by yourself, and it takes forever to share it with others, but she's just taking everything in such a wrong angle. Talking about, how much fanfiction has impacted Riverdale. That is all highlight. Audible of some books that were fanfiction, a post on Twitter from Chloe Zhao, who says that she's intending to write fanfic about Eternals, which, go queen. A writer from Our Flag Means Death on the importance of fanfiction. this is just another one of her giant link fests, which is strange. And then, oh hey look, I tried to find the article I read that listed Twilight among the works that were derived from fan fiction stories, but I couldn't. It's possible it is just a rumor. It's possible it's more than that, but I couldn't find my source. Very funny with that, Layne. Funnily enough, I quadruple checked everything else in this video, but not that, as that notion has been an accepted fact that I'd taken for granted for a decade. If anyone knows of a more definitive source on this, do drop me a message. Thank you. I wouldn't care more about her opinion. I would care more about her opinion if it wasn't laser targeted on a female audience. That woman having a sexual imagination is specifically wrong. Yeah. It could have been. I mean, she does say here that she's thought about that for a decade, so it might have been a rumor she heard when she was in her 20s, too. But it could have been an AI Google result. Who knows? And then, so after this list here, we get to this part, which I'm just going to sit here with this for a second and consider my life choices. And look for my chapstick. Where the heck did I put it? I think it is important to point out. Oh, I think she confused 50 Shades of Twilight fanfiction with Twilight as fanfiction. That's also a possibility. You know, I probably know some wrong things about some stories, and I'm not going to blame her for it, but, you know, taking the time to have Googled this before finishing your script would have been probably smart. I'll consider my life choices too. It can be a group activity. Yay, group activity, group fun. But then this is how she ends her thing here. There's still a conclusion, but this is the last thing she has here. This is put at the bottom of her bibliography article bemoaning how fan fiction has destroyed the world. And she has spent most of this article, bibliography, whatever you want to call it, talking about how female-led fanfic is. She is trying to connect something here, something I don't think is a thing. She's trying to connect the dots here. She's trying to subtly imply that people who write fanfiction will do this to people. And no. No. They're not related. They're not related, Casey. They're not related. It's so weird. It's so out of nowhere. I am probably missing like a tad bit of confidence here because I have not watched this video, but this is actually the part that made me want to stop and actually make this live stream here, because this just like threw me across the room. It was like a brick to the face. There's no correlation. There is no correlation. This is just her saying a bunch of stuff about why fanfiction sucks, and like also, hey, here's some random statistics about this. I know I'm jumping around the subject a bit, but I don't know how much I can say in this stream without getting like kicked or something. I'm still new to this, but this is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. There is no correlation. There is no causation. There is nothing that connects people who write fanfic to people who do this to people. I think she wants to draw a line from the children and the fics to the people writing about them and what they like, and it's not just the case. Yes, that is what she's trying to do. She is trying to connect the dots that these things are the same, and it's yes, it can convey problematic ideas, 12th Night, but this is ridiculous. It's the same BS about people. Yeah, And then she goes on to conclude, this is a topic with 100 interconnected tendrils and is thus difficult to approach directly. I'm going to jump back over here. Fan fiction, as I said in the video, is not in itself bad, which is very great because she has spent this whole time refusing to acknowledge any good that's come out of writing fan fiction. She has belittled the art of fan fiction for this whole time. She's not explicitly saying the words fan fiction is bad, but it is implied with every word she has written down so far. And it would have been nice to look at any of those 100 tendrils. Like, if her main complaint was the act of filing off serial numbers, republishing fanfiction work as original content for a few quick bucks, I would agree with her, but she's just complaining about everything. She hates self-indulgence in writing, hates AO3, and thinks that fan fiction of all things is the downfall of modern society, and I can't take it seriously. She's like, I have no concerns about low-quality fan fiction. They are under no obligation to be masterpieces. But now fan fiction is feeding literature, and this lack of concern towards literary quality has spread into the new literary environment that is entirely choked by fan fiction's all-important concepts of representation and identity politics. Talk about a red flag. Talk about a dog whistle. Reasonable arguments about literary trends should include unrelated essay graphs, right? Yeah, they should, Michael. They should. As you can see, I was going off in the notes here. And, you know, this stuff doesn't go unchecked. There are debates online constantly about content that should we censor it? What should we do about it? Should this be allowed? And I just can't anymore, guys. I actually think she could make an interesting video about how you wish more fanfiction expanded on lore about worlds or speculative ideas. Yeah, you know, fanfiction has good to it. You know, like, there are so many good things about fanfiction out there, but like every other thing, it has bad things too. But she just refuses to acknowledge any good things because she just wants to complain all the time. She just wants to complain. She just wants to make everything suffer. There we go. Goes unchecked. May I introduce her to the ongoing mire of the morality of RPF? You should. You should. Hi, I'm over here now. Wow. What an article. Can't believe that took me 2.5 hours to get through. Yeah, I'm still thinking about Ryan Reynolds writing fanfic. I think that's great. I think we, you know, Ryan Reynolds has a secret AO3 account where he writes Deadpool Wolverine hurt comfort fics. I'm gonna just say that now. That's what he does. That's what he does in his free time. Yeah, that was an experience. Yeah, she's a trad cath. As a Catholic, I could say she's a trad cath for sure. Oh, yes, Harvest Crops, this is a trans-friendly channel. You are always welcome here. I would be a bit of a hypocrite if you weren't. Yeah, I would love to read Ryan Reynolds writing a fanfic. I mean, I guess technically you could call Deadpool and Wolverine fanfic because he was one of the writers, but I would like to see what Ryan Reynolds would write on his own, just because it would be fun. You know, it would be fun. What an experience. Thank you all for suffering with me. I forgot how bad it got at the end. Granted, I also read most of this today, so I don't know how I forgot, but thank you for joining me. That was a wild ride. I don't even know what to do with myself then. I'm contemplating all my life decisions. When I see this stuff, I'm reminded Nietzsche commented that music was in decline. Everything's in decline. Everything's in decline nowadays. Everything sucks. You can't have any fun anymore. Fun is banned. Fun is banned. You're not allowed to have fun anymore. yeah, I have nothing else to say. I'm probably gonna try and cut this down into a video like I did for my reaction to Modern Girls' video on Disney heroines because I wanted to. But this is probably gonna be a bit because I still gotta finish my next 2 videos. Um, thanks for sharing. May we all lay in bed and wonder at her capacity for words without meeting. Yeah. You were reading fanfic while listening to the stream, as you should, you know? Those are the vibes here. Yeah, thanks. Thank you all for coming. I'm gonna end it now because I am beat after that. Good lord. I'll hopefully try and stream the next week or 2 as well, but as we're getting closer to the holidays, that might be a little tricky. Maybe I'll just make a chill gaming stream. I don't know. I'm still new to all of this. You know, I've only been on YouTube for 8 months. Yeah, good night, 12th night, good night. Let's put it on the end screen. Please live stream more, very entertaining. I'm a lurker. Thank you, thank you. Hopefully I can find some more fun ideas that aren't me suffering. Yeah, have a good night, everyone. Good night, good night. Or good morning if you're in a different time zone, or good day if you're in a different time zone. Those exist, I always forget. Alright. Next video will hopefully be up in the next week or so. Alright. Bye!